Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the I and Team series and the Daily Influence. This week we started talking about culture and how important it is to driving profits. And as we talked about, those profits can be dollar profits, intellectual profits, emotional profit. Whatever you hold as value and growing in your life can be profitable. So we talked about that. One of the struggles in culture that we have, not only culture as an individual person, but culture in even departments or organization, is what we call imposter syndrome. A lot of people mistake what imposter syndrome is. Imposter syndrome isn't a syndrome where people fake being somebody else. That's not imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is not feeling deserving or worthy despite the individual objective success that they have. And oftentimes that success and that feeling of not deserving that success for some reason leads to anxiety, or even that they're a fraud or they're phony, like they didn't really earn it. It was luck, or it was somebody else that got them there. And they dismiss the value of their individual influence. They dismiss the value of their we. And when they do that, they not only hurt themselves, but they hurt everybody else who has brought them to that point. And the things that drive imposter syndrome are actually pretty simple. Perfectionism. We all want to get it right. If you go to IA's website, and you will notice our logo has a little 6 and an A. That is a symbol for Six Sigma. Six Sigma in its world is measured by 1 error in every 6 million, or 6 errors in every 6 million transactions, which is near perfectionism, if not perfectionism. And why do we have that? Well, we don't strive for perfectionism. We strive for error-free advisory and consulting services. But we understand that we can't be perfect. And what that means is that we can learn from imperfection. The other thing that comes from perfectionism and imposter syndrome is individual paralysis. We start to question if we can make decisions. We start to question the decisions that we're going to make. Are they good enough? We're afraid to make decisions because we don't know what's on the other side, even though time and time and time again, it's been success. But we always wonder, when will that decision come that takes away from my success? That's a hard one to deal with, because when we get gun shy about making decisions because we think it will damage our perfect record in our mind that we already don't feel like we are deserving of, or that we don't quite take full value for, it just gives us this paralysis, decision paralysis, thoughtful paralysis, objective paralysis in everything. And we tend to shut down. The other one is being a people pleaser, always worried about others being happy. Even if we've proven that the work we do, the decisions we make, the quality that we do it is good. If we're always worried about pleasing others, that could lead to individual paralysis. It goes along with perfectionism, and it makes us second guess, and it is part of imposter syndrome. It can get in the way of looking in the mirror and saying, yes, I am good. Yes, I can learn from mistakes. Yes, when I make a mistake, I will learn for it and use that lesson to make me better. And I will use that lesson to make my decisions and my effort better. And I will face those issues in the most direct and objective way I can, so that I can maintain and continue to improve and stay better or superior in my specific area of influence. And another one that leads to imposter syndrome is procrastination. Now, I am a procrastinator, and I can self-justify all day long why I procrastinate. I have learned to not allow my procrastination to convert into imposter syndrome. And I've also learned how to live with my procrastination by tackling it head on. I'm open about it with my team. I invite them to push me through the procrastination that I tend to have. And most of the time, and it truly is most of the time, the procrastination doesn't have a negative influence in my area of influence, at least not to me specifically. But when it has a negative influence to my teammates, my peers, my customers, even my vendors, I have to start to pay closer attention to it. And sometimes in certain areas of influence that I have, I can't allow any procrastination. And that's on me to learn. And there are areas where I still can, and there are areas where it's just not allowed. I support other people who rely on me that are just as important in the process of what I do. And imposter syndrome can get in the way of that, and it can manifest itself. So the big question is how do we tackle imposter syndrome? Well, focus on the facts. Like I just said, slow down, look down at yourself. When you slow down and look down at yourself, look in the mirror and identify that you are struggling with imposter syndrome, that you are good, and that your feelings of inadequacy are more internal, not external. They say more about what your expectations are of yourself and your area of influence than what others' expectations are. They could be contributed by communication from others, and if they are, then focus on that fact. Look at your success, acknowledge it, validate it, and then move on and move past it. Go on to the next issue, whatever that might be, and improve one issue at a time. You want to really tackle these things? Share your feelings with your team. Ask your team to help you through this. If you really feel like you're failing in one area of influence that you have, ask your team about that specific area of influence. Walk through the focus, the slow down and look down with them. Understand if your impression or your feelings in that area of influence are true or if they're manifested by something else. Get a mentor or a coach. You don't have to pay for a lot of these things. Sometimes it's just somebody on your team that you can spend a short amount of time with and share some of the struggles you're having. Yes, it's a little vulnerable, especially if you do it with somebody who you feel is lower than you on the hierarchy of your organization. For us here at IA and in our smart management operating system, we don't believe that there is a ladder of hierarchy. We believe that there is differences of responsibility, differences of areas of influence, and differences in the levels of accountability and who wields and delivers accountability to others. But it's not necessarily one above or one below. We all work together as a team. Find somebody on your team or outside of your team and make them part of your team that you trust to become a mentor or coach that you can share these things with. Pay attention and learn from your team. Notice struggles and successes that they have. Correlate those to any you might have. Use those to improve your area of influence and potentially improve theirs. When we slow down and look down at not only ourselves objectively, but those in our specific and immediate areas of influence, we have an opportunity to eliminate the potential of imposter syndrome across the whole of our area of influence. And if we can do that, we will elevate ourselves from being good to great to superior, which is where we should always want to be. We should always individually first want to be our best selves so that we can help others be their best selves and do the best we can in whatever area of influence we find ourselves. And we should be able to look in the mirror and say to ourselves, without arrogance, without an overwhelming ego is okay, that we are great. Because you are. You just haven't found it yet if you don't feel it yet. And you can find it if you look for it. Slow down, look down. And finally, anticipate imposter syndrome. Anticipate the stress that comes from imposter syndrome. Anticipate that you will let yourself down once in a while. You will let others down once in a while. Every single time that happens, you are not a failure. You have created an opportunity for you and your team, whatever that might be, to learn and to grow from. If we tackle these issues that are foundational in imposter syndrome that we've just outlined, you will move through it, past it, be able to slow down, look down at it, and improve it in every way in your specific area of influence. And that consistency and that influence will push out to all of the people in your specific areas of influence and help them to grow too. I hope that you have an amazing day. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And it might be Greg, it might be me, and it might be one of our amazing guests. And remember, if there are issues that you are facing that you haven't seen here recently, look back through the 190 plus episodes we have. Look at the titles. I am sure we might have touched on something. And if not, just reach out to us. We are happy to tackle any topic that will help you individually and you individually with your teams, whatever or however, how big they are, that we can tackle that topic and bring some daily influence to you. Have a great day.